Right now, I'd like to welcome MinnPost journalist Jay Weiner and his guest, Lester Bagley, Vice President of Public Affairs and Stadium Development for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Jay has covered the Al Franken, Norm Coleman recount for MinnPost and is now on leave. He's going to write a book about the subject, about the recount, and it's going to be published next summer by the University of Minnesota Press. Now, he's covered the stadium issue for the Star Tribune for 14 years before joining MinnPost, and he's the author of Stadium Games, a history of politics of Minnesota stadiums and arenas, which makes him the perfect person to interview Lester Bagley. He brings more than 2 decades of experience in the public affairs arena. For the past 5 years, he served as Vice President of Public Affairs and Stadium Development for the Minnesota Vikings. In this role, Lester leads the team's quest to finance and build a new home for the Vikings football team. Wouldn't that be great? He oversees the Vikings Board of Advisors, increasing the Vikings' involvement in civic and business affairs, and leads the Vikings You Make the Team tour, connecting fans and charitable causes across the state. They're going to chat for the next 10 minutes. Please welcome Jay Weiner and Lester Bagley.
Hi, Lester.
Hey, Jay.
So, where do you stand right now in relationship to the stadium effort, given the fact you guys have been at this for probably about 5 years now, I would guess, huh?
Yeah, and longer than that. For closer to 9 or 10 years, the organization has been at it. It's the third ownership group really that has tried to tee up the stadium issue for the Vikings. But where we are is starting our 2009 football season. We just made our final cuts to our roster, so we have an exciting team. Hopefully that'll benefit the fan following. But we're leading into the fall where we hope to have some public debate about the best way, most appropriate way to pay for a new facility, and then leading into the 2010 legislative session, at which time we'll have 20 games left at the Metrodome on our lease. So we think we're down to the wire here, where we really need to tackle this issue, if you will, and get it resolved.
How do you plan to use the season to prepare the public, not just your fans, for what would happen over at the Capitol come January?
Well, we have a great fan base and a great fan following, and as we get into our opener next Sunday, the interest in Viking football is as strong as ever, and something that you've written about and we've talked about is the TV ratings and just the fan following. And so when the interest is high and the focus is on Viking football, and hopefully, knock on wood, we have a solid, very successful team, that we'll try to leverage that, if you will, try to take advantage of that fan following to try to bring fans along, which, as you know, needs to be part of the mix here. We really need the grassroots support to really get this thing over the top. So we've got some things planned, but really to try to leverage the interest and the support for the team is one of the things we're going to focus on.
Now, the team has been popular forever, really, except for a couple down years. Why hasn't that generated more grassroots support, or why hasn't that put you nearer to a stadium over the last 5 years?
Well, we've had a few years left on our lease, so we're down to crunch time, and in our view, it's past due. But it's crunch time in terms of we can't just sit back and let the Vikings become free agents. We really have to, like any tenant-landlord relationship, we really need to sit down and try to work out a way to keep this good thing going. But we've been at it for a while. We've had time on our lease, and somehow we've been sort of behind the Twins in their stadium effort, and we're really been supportive and excited about what's going to happen with the new Twins ballpark. But until that issue got resolved, we didn't think we were going to get really full attention. Now it's last one to get resolved. It's lease is up. It's time to really get it done.
So then we get to the question where the rubber meets the road of the economy, priorities in the state, a governor who has not only been sort of opposed to it, but even more recently has said he has no interest. How are you going to do that?
Well, the economic challenges are a concern, and we're sensitive to those issues. By the same token, a lot of the things they're talking about at the Capitol are about job creation and economic development. And we have a project that seemingly would be a good influx of jobs and economic boost into our economy when we really need it. So we'll kind of make that case and try to make that case about the economy. In terms of the governor, we've had a long dance with the governor, and it's been a challenge, and he has not been engaged necessarily in problem solving. So we've had some progress as of late with some of his key people. They know that the Metrodome can't survive long term, and that we've got to do something to secure the Vikings here in this market for the long term. So we're making progress with state leaders, including the governor, but it's incremental for sure.
What's your analysis of his not running? Does that help you, hurt you? Neutral thoughts?
And I've noticed your analysis on MinnPost, which was excellent, which kind of made its way around, and I think a lot of people thought that's a pretty good take on what it means that the governor is not going to run for re-election. The conclusion is obviously yet to be determined, but it could go either way. You could, with 18 months to go, which is a lot of time, and we got a lot of work to do, and that's our hope, is that he really, without the specter of re-election to the governor's office in Minnesota, that he might be able to spend a little more time and political capital on this issue. On the other hand, he's been a no-tax, anti-tax governor, and if he doesn't think there's any risk to being involved or getting engaged in a stadium solution, it's a concern that he might say, why would I want to support this when I'm only here for 18 months? Let me just hand it off to the next governor, which we think would be very disappointing. Mm-hmm. And so we're doing everything we can to get to the table with not just the governor, but other state leaders to try to really roll up our sleeves and get serious about this before the clock runs out.
Let's just step back. Where is the plan? There have been, I've lost track, a number of plans. There was the gigantic plan, mega office development around the stadium, the demise of the Star Tribune, which has already happened, but they're building. And are you still in that mode of the Wilfs and others being partners around it, or have you scaled that back?
No, I think the Wilfs are very interested in being part of a broader economic development package, being part of a revitalization of the downtown east area of Minneapolis for sure. But as you well know, as we've worked together on this issue for a number of years, stepping back, we were part of a Gopher Vikings Stadium discussion back a number of years ago about one of the potential locations was right here, not right here, but across the way at the fairgrounds, to have a Gopher Vikings Stadium here, and that was short on political leadership, and it might have been a good idea. And in hindsight, it's disappointing to our owners that we weren't able to partner both, two teams playing the same sport on different days. So we went from there to the Anoka County proposal, the northern metro suburbs, which was a strong proposal, focused a lot on mixed-use development, retail, but there were a number of issues that prevented us from getting that done up there. It was a great group of people up there and a great commitment from the folks in Anoka County, but the numbers didn't add up. It was a significant cost. And as we've evaluated this and looked into this, the best, most cost-efficient site to build a new Viking Stadium in Minnesota is where it is now, at the Metrodome, because of the opportunities to recycle and reuse a lot of the infrastructure that's there. So this debate has gone on. We have run it up, and we have gone to different proposals, but we've kind of found our way to where we are now, which is let's be frugal, let's be Minnesotan, let's use what we have, let's take the Metrodome, rebuild, reconstruct, and use what we can, recycle the site, and put a mixed-use development. But clearly with the economy and the slowdown, we're going to have to be more cautious. It might take more time to really make something more broadly, revitalization happen in that area. But there's still a commitment by the Vikings, by the ownership of the Vikings, to be part of that. But until there's some indication or some willingness by our state leaders to really address our issue, it's hard for the Wilfs to continue to invest in in Star Tribune property or any other property. They've acquired some property around the Metrodome, but right now we're kind of taking a step back to see what's going to happen.